Hello everybody, Corey here. We're going to go over the trades and holdings. We'll have the trades for the 7th and the 8th, and then we have the holdings for today. Just a reminder, I'm not a qualified licensed investment or financial advisor. I just gather the data and present it to you. If you haven't figured out already, YieldMax ETFs are extremely risky. Please make sure you've read the prospectus and understand the risk involved with these. All right, so let's see. I think I have both of these in alphabetical order. Ooh, we also have the new BABO for BABO. We'll have that in here. That's going to be hard for me to say every single time. I see that now. All right, so we'll just start at the top. We have Airbnb first. If you're new, I do these in alphabetical order with the exception to the short ETFs. They are, they'll be at the bottom, and then YBIT will be after that. All right, so for Abney here, let's see, today's Thursday. So yesterday on Wednesday, they closed out. They closed out the short calls that were going to expire on Friday, and then went ahead and used half of, you can see over there, 245 of the contracts. Let me see if I can zoom this out so you can see it all on one screen. I've tried to condense some of these things for you. Sorry, condense it maybe a little bit more. All right. So the 245, they used 124, so you can see there they opened a position that will expire next week at the 117 strike price. Tomorrow's Friday, so it will, if they didn't use them today, they might have. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, you can see here the other 120, still same 117 strike price. And then they closed out the synthetics that were going to expire next week and went ahead and pushed them out to October 18th. And then we went from a 145 strike to a 110 strike price. This is a very small account, but it did cost them $883 million to close those synthetics out. And then push them out. A couple months. All right, so that was that day, and then of course we just covered the 120 that were over here. I guess I could condense this one down a little bit more to also be similar to the other one. Just try to get as much over here. I didn't even hide that column, the date, but it's all good. All right. So then if we jump over here to the holdings, let's adjust this as well. All right, so you can see now the new short call here with the 117 strike price. It's interesting because that percentage there is wrong. Let me check something. All right, so I figured out what the issue was. I had to fix things, and what it ended up being was I had one formula for my short calls and synthetics, and then I had to change some things, and I didn't fix the other formulas after I had them hard-coded. Sorry, I was looking at the fact that the screen wasn't loading. All right. Well, at least it came back up. Okay. I had to close it on my computer and reopen it because there were some issues with some other things. In fact, since all that's fixed now, I want to copy. I don't know what's going on. I guess I need to take some time and pull this out of my workbook. I mean, pull the last couple of months out of this workbook, and I need to continue when I have time, of course, making changes to how some of my formulas are set up, because I think it's just too much for the workbook. Anyway, we should be good to go. I'm going to copy and paste values before something else screws up. All right, so here we go. We're back now. We're underneath the short call of the 117 by 2%. Now, this won't expire until next week, but right now it looks like we have a possible upside here of 31 cents, which is an issue for me. Let's go. I don't have yesterday's holdings because I thought I had it there, and of course I didn't. See here, while it was still at those higher strike prices, you had quite a bit of upside, but once they closed them out, I know it's only like 1 day early, which is their norm, right? On Thursday and Friday, they'll close them out. Of course, today was a green day. I don't know when these were closed out. We don't know what tomorrow's going to hold either. So, yeah, but at least we could have possibly gotten some upside and possibly been able to push some of these short call strike prices out further. But anyway, so it looks like that's going to be what we're doing this week, since we've had the last red week, and today was green. Even though today was green, it was still Thursday. So a lot of these might have been closed out. Actually, I'm sorry, I've been sitting here researching. I forgot. I just went over this, but I forgot because it's been a lot longer since I had it paused. But they actually did this on Wednesday. So yeah, that hurt. And Airbnb had earnings. So if you're wondering why they're not just the market being red in itself, but Airbnb's earnings made it tank really bad. I don't remember. I think it was up in the 130s or 140s. But I can't tell there because I forgot to save the data. Yeah, 135 at least as of the 5th. Anyway, all right. So this may be what we're looking at across the board. That possible upside that we've had for most of the week has been, having those bigger possible upsides is going to be gone. Unfortunately, which means a lot of these that have dropped so much aren't possibly going to have a chance to recover. All right, so we'll see how the rest of these go. We're going to move on to AIYY. And then let's look. I'm curious, this was a couple of days ago. And then we had trades. We didn't have any trades on Wednesday. And then today, they closed out the short calls that were going to expire tomorrow. And then they, let's see. Yep, they used all of the shares there. 14,205.14. Yeah, I didn't even look at the data check to make sure all this stuff was in line. But anyway, they split those between a 25.50 and 26 strike price next week. Of course, this one will have earnings come up. I think it's normally towards the end of the month. I'm just so irritated I didn't do the earnings thing for this quarter, or else I'd be a little bit more in the know here. I know there was something up with Palantir. It made it go up today. Oh, I'm looking up the wrong thing. I'm trying to look up AI. Sorry. Yeah, post-market AI is already up at 25. But the reason I mentioned Palantir is because if Palantir goes up, AI is probably going to go up, and Palantir got awarded some additional contracts or whatever. So there's a possibility that AI will go up tomorrow, but we only have the, $25.50 and $26 strike prices there. So we don't have much room to go up. And I don't see, while I'm in here, I'm not seeing where it says anything about earnings. I guess I could actually, there it is. September 4th. So it looks like it's pushed out a little bit more. So we have a whole month to earnings. So, all right. So short calls here, we already said 25.50 and 26. These won't expire until next week. And we're below those 3 and 14%, but we're only looking at about a 13-cent upside here for this. All right, let's move on to AMDY. We didn't have any trades on Wednesday. And then today they closed out the short call that was going to expire tomorrow for 5 cents, 145 strike price. And now for next week we have a 141 strike price. So we're below that 3%, but we also had the 143 strike price already here with a little over, 3,600 contracts. But both of these will expire next Friday. Looks like a possible upside here of about 24 cents a share. And again, when I say for this possible upside, that's particular to the short calls, in case you're new, not necessarily to the synthetic. The stock price can still go up based on the synthetic market value. So just keep that in mind. And just to get, this is actually a perfect example here. If this is 141 here for this strike price, if the stock got up to the 141 strike price to get that 24-cent upside, that would actually make the stock price above the synthetic strike price here of 140, because it would be up to about 141, right? Therefore, you would expect that this wouldn't be negative, and if so, it would be a lower negative amount. Again, it just depends on the market values on some of these. I know that may not have been the best example because we're talking about it actually going over that price. But even some of them, if it comes up to, let's see if I see an example of ones we just looked at. Yeah, this is a perfect example here for AIYY. So if it gets up to the 25.50 strike price, it's still not over this synthetic position. So definitely sure not going to see this green. But there's still also seeing cases where it really doesn't move too much anyway. Like in this sense, in this case, it's like 70 cents. Yeah, it'll go up. But again, it's the market value. So it may not line up 100%. I think majority of the time the synthetic market value goes up, but I've seen sometimes not really, even when the price goes up. It just depends on what environment we're in. So just to point that out. Okay, let's move on to AMZ. So no trades on Wednesday. And then today they closed out the short call that was going to expire tomorrow with 172.50 strike price that closed it out for 9 cents. Now we have a 170 strike price that will expire next Friday. So now our holdings here, we can see we have 4 short calls total, 3 that expire this week. We have the 167.50, the 170, and the 200. And we're below those 1, 2, and 17%. So at least we get a little bit of chance tomorrow to go up some more. This other 170 at the bottom is the one we just did. So this one will expire next week, but we're only 2% below that strike price. Looking here, the majority of the contracts are at the 170 strike price for tomorrow. We have a possible upside here of about 31 cents for the short calls. All right, we're going to move on to Apple. We did have trades on Wednesday for Apple. So you can see here we had the short calls that were going to expire tomorrow, or the short call, the 227.50 strike price. They closed those out for 3 cents, and they rolled those to next Friday at the 217.50 strike price for all of those contracts. And then today they closed out. Short call is going to expire tomorrow with a 230 strike price. They closed them for 1 cent, and then that was 26.65. Yep. And then so next week for that one, they've changed it from a 230 to 217.50 strike price. And then they had to close out 155 contracts, I guess, where people sold out of this one. So that's what the next separate line is, of 155. And then you'll see for the next two lines, which is the synthetic, these were going to expire next Friday. They went ahead and closed these out. And if you see on the right-hand side, they closed out 4,120, and they only opened 3,965. The difference is that 155. All right, so then for that synthetic, we went with a 225 to 210 from next week expiration to October 18th. For this one, for this synthetic, man, it cost almost $7 million to do that, because we were so far below the synthetic strike price there. Well, let's see. And we're probably, I'm going to assume, yeah, looking here today, we're right at the synthetic call there. All right. So now let's look at the updated Apple holdings. Our new synthetics, new short call. We're only 2% below the 217.50 strike price. We only have about a 33-cent upside here for the short call. BABO. Let's see. Our trades, our initial trades for this one. We have the short call. Well, we're going to look at all of those over there. So how about just, here we go. We opened with 320. There's the prices if you want to see those. I know we didn't have any trades here today, so let's just look at the holdings, because we can see those right there. You can see that synthetic strike price is $75. We are above that 7% right now, and our short call of $83 for next week, which we're currently below 3%. Possible upside here for the short call of about 66 cents. Coney trades from Wednesday. We had a short call that was going to expire tomorrow with a 232.50 strike price. They closed out 15,800 contracts for 3 cents. And now we have a short call for next Friday with a $200 strike price. Dang. Weren't we at that today? I don't know. Maybe not. Anyway, okay. So it's a new short call. Then they also closed out these synthetic positions with the expiration of next week. And now our new expiration is going to be September. We went from a 250 strike price to a 210. In order to do this for the synthetic, it cost $29.5 million to do so. They were able to get some money this week to cover because they actually had to close. This cost $42.5 million to close those out. All right. So the 8th, if we look at today's trades, they closed out short calls that were going to expire tomorrow, the 230, 220, and 217.50 strike prices. Wow. And I need to look this up because I heard them talking about something earlier that made Bitcoin go up. So yeah, we have these. So the other one's 200. These new strike prices are 207.50 and 202.50, and after hours we're at about 199. But Bitcoin, I will tell you, is down to, well, it went up a little bit today, but it's at a little over 61,000 as of right now anyway. See if I missed anything. I think we're good here. It's all the shares match. We're good to go. Let's actually look at the holdings. So we have 4 short calls. So we still have 1 that expires tomorrow. It's at that 205 strike price. And I just looked that up. Yeah, so we did close at 192, but like I said, we're at 199 and after hours past 8 o'clock anyway. So if we're looking over here, most of our contracts are sitting at that $200 strike price, so $15,800. And this really, really sucks because that only gives you an upside of about 27 cents. Like I said, after hours, we're basically at that strike price already. That doesn't give us much upside. We're already capped, and these don't expire. Well, I know we're not capped just yet, but we're going to be just about capped if the trend from tonight continues in the morning, and no possible way for any upside here for Coney. All right. We're going to move on to Dizzo. So no trades on Wednesday. And then today they closed out a 97 strike price there, 2,450 contracts for 1 cent. And move that to next Friday with a strike price of 87. So we look at our holdings. We have 1 short call, that 87, and we're only underneath that 1%. $1.04, which means only a possible upside of 18 cents here. So if we go to Phoebe, no trades Wednesday. Hold on, maybe I didn't look at the right column. No. Okay. So today they closed out 500 strike price, 40 of them anyway. So at the end of the day, we were almost at 510. So they ended up paying, luckily I guess they closed it earlier in the day, they ended up only paying $6.90 a share. And at the end of the day, we were over $9.63. So they must have closed that early on. Now we have, oh, no. Okay, that's what I get for looking at the first line. No, they only closed 40 contracts of these because people sold out of it. So that means we still have that. Yep. So yeah, our strike price is $500. So we are over that strike price by 2%. So I guess they'll hope that tomorrow that the stock price goes down and we don't have to pay so much to close this out. And then it can go back up next week for the synthetic, right? All right. Oh, sorry. We're going to go to GDXY next. All right. Sorry. I had to relocate. All right. So GDXY. This was yesterday, Wednesday. Looks like people have been buying into this one. 115 shares, or I'm sorry, 115 contracts here. So I'm going to guess no, this one's actually off the holding. So it looks like they created a new short call that'll expire next week with a $36 strike price. And then they just added to the synthetic they already had. I have a feeling a lot of people will be buying into GDXY due to the things about possible recession. So we can see the trades from today here. They closed out. I'm looking at the count. So yeah, it's the right count, share count over here, or contract count. But they closed out. The short calls are going to expire tomorrow, 37, 37.50, and 38 strike prices. And now we have a 36 and a 36.50 strike price. They close those out for 2, 3, and 4 cents. So if we go look at the holdings, you can see here we have the 2 short calls for next week. We're currently underneath that 36 and 36.50, 1 and 3%. As you can see over on the left-hand side, we're only 45 cents underneath the first strike price. But the majority of the contracts are at the second strike price. So maybe we'll see about a 30-cent upside here for the short calls. Maybe we can get to 18. Yeah. If we do that, we'll be not too far from the synthetic, and then that one will do better as well. GUI. So they closed out the short call, or I don't know if all of it, but the 175 strike price that was going to end tomorrow for over 3,000 contracts. They either paid 1 or 2 cents a piece for those. And then we have new short calls for next week, 165 and 167.50 strike prices. If we go to today's trades, we don't have any. All right. So then if we go over here, oh, that doesn't look too good. So we have the short calls, the 165 and 167.50. We're underneath those 2 and 3%. We might see about 20 or so cent upside here for the short calls, but that synthetic, yeah, that one's expires next week also, but it has a 190 strike price, and we're currently 15% underneath that strike price. It's bringing the stock price down $2.77. So that's not looking good. All right, so we're going to move on to JPMO. So today they closed out the 212.50 strike price. It was going to close tomorrow for 2 cents. And we have new strike price for next week at 207.50. Okay, let's see what our holdings look like. So that was just one of them. Yeah, because the stock went up. It looks like almost $4 today. How quickly I forget. What strike price is that? 212.50. All right, so we still have 2 short calls here that are going to expire tomorrow, the 202.50 and the 205. I guess they're going to hope that this comes back down because you can see it was going to cost quite a bit to close these out today. So maybe those could come down. But either way, there is no upside here for this stock. I mean, yeah, there's a few cents for the short call here for the, but that's about it. Now the synthetic, of course, could make it go up, but yeah, we'll see. All right, so let's go to Murney. Murney here, Wednesday trades. It closed out the 100 and 101 strike price that expired tomorrow for 5 and 12 cents there. And now we have new short calls for next week at 87 and 88 strike prices. Now I feel like I'm crazy. I guess I have to see what it was today. So that was Wednesday. And then today they closed out the $92 strike price. And now this goes to next week at the $89 strike price. So if we look here, we have 3 strike prices now, 87, 88, and 89. We're underneath those 3, 4, and 5%. The majority of the contracts are pretty much split between the 87 and 88. So we're looking at about, 15, 18 cent upside here for the short calls. So might be able to get over $11. Oh my goodness. I'm just curious. I did that a while ago, didn't I? It's just we had so much potential at the beginning of the week for these. We had plenty of room to move to the upside. And then, of course, now we're at the end of the week, and it just now decides to start going up. And we've lost that now, the possibility of, or our dream of the, it going, the stock price being able to go back up. But this is what you need to see, right? Because this is what you're going to get with these. Isn't this the one I was just on? As far as that upside part of it. All right. Or non-upside of it. MSFO. And the Moderna here, it jumped almost $3 just today. All right. The only thing left on this one was a DEPS one. And this one, honestly, it was them trying to fix still the issue from last Friday. Yeah, so this, it's because this is backwards and it was over, and that's why those NAs are there. And then all that was left was Ulti. Of course, this isn't the Ulti file, so those aren't going to be whatever there. And then the next one here is Netflix. So we can go back over here because it's not showing any trades, and we can see that here with the short calls that still expire tomorrow, the 417.50 and the 420. So, at least there was some room for some possible upside here. The unfortunate part is this will be closed out tomorrow, and it didn't move today much. But those will definitely be closed out tomorrow. Misty. Oh, we didn't need to go there. So now we're just looking to see what's here for today and ends the next one. So no trades here to cover for Misty. It sucks because this one was way up and then it's come down. And then today, at the end of the day, it started going up because, again, somebody in government power or something said something about Bitcoin, mining Bitcoin or something. Sorry, I didn't really pay attention. But anyway, we closed at 135.99 like that says. And after hours, though, we were up 4%. And we were closed after post-market at 141.55. So, that's getting a little bit back up, but it was way up more than that. And of course, I'm sure most of you know, if you didn't already by now, it did a 10-for-1 split. Sure, get above that synthetic, because we also have at the bottom there, I don't know why this one has to be like this, but the synthetics are at the bottom for Misty, and yeah, the 155 strike price, we're currently, shows it again under 12%, but if it is going up and it continues to go up like over here, then maybe next week there's that possibility of going above the synthetic. In fact, I'm looking here, almost all of the contracts are at that 160 strike price. So I'm happy if it went to 160 tomorrow. You know, it gets us above the up to the short call. It gives us about what, $3 ish upside, and we get above the synthetic, so then they could close the synthetics out. And then yeah, so I'd be happy to 160. Of course, I mean, we've been there, right? Because that was just 1,600. Heck, we've been up to, in the recent couple of weeks or so, 1,800. So it is a possibility, but we will have to see how it goes. I don't know why crypto is going down right now. So I'm looking at this timeline. It ended up surging, you know, I guess whatever happened, and that was around 7 o'clock. It went from like, well, when I say surging, it didn't do that much. It looks like a big surge when I look at the chart, but basically, we've just been going up, you know, and then now we're back down to 61,400 for Bitcoin. But when we closed today at 4 o'clock, when the market closed, that is, I'm going to say we're somewhere around 59,000. So we're a couple of $1,000s less. Anyway, that stuff can change in a minute, and it'll be a while before y'all see this video. So we're going to move on. But this one, we actually have some possible upside on. It's just that, you know, I don't know how tomorrow's going to go with these. They might even close this 160 out first thing in the morning just because it has a 1 cent, 1 cent on it to close. All right, so we know we have Netflix trades. They closed out the 640 strike here. Nope, they didn't. Looking over to the quantity, they only closed out 60 contracts of all of these because somebody must have closed out of them. So if we go back over here, we'll just say that they reduced those by 60. So it looks like we still have the short call for tomorrow, the 640 strike price, which are currently under 2%, possibly come up 24 cents there, share for the short call. As far as the synthetic goes, this the synthetic expires next Friday and has a strike price of $6.75. We're currently underneath that 7%. It's bringing the stock price down roughly $1.15. NVIDIA, actually, I guess I could pull this over. Well, no, I hit them, so we'll just do it because we have too many closes anyway. So NVIDIA, we had a 108 and a 115 strike price. They closed those out. Looks like they closed out the 115 for 5 cents. And then, not sure why, other than they just wanted to be done with this when they close them out, but they closed out the 108 strike price at 80 cents. Paid 80 cents a share to close those out. Maybe they were afraid with it dancing around 105 a lot today that it was gonna, I don't know. But if we look here at the holdings, we can see the 115 strike price. We're currently underneath at 5%. This does give us some upside, though, of about $1.25 here. for the short calls. Sorry, let me be specific there. I was looking over at the numbers over here. Yeah, so it looks like NVIDIA came up $6 today. NVIDIA and NVIDIA only came up about somewhere around $1.40. All right, let's look at OARC, see if we had trades. We did. Looks like they closed out of the short calls expiring tomorrow at the $44.50 and $45 strike price. Now this has been moved to, and they paid $1.05 to close those out, as you can see over on the right. And then now they'll expire next week with a $42.50 strike price. And we can see that here, the $42.50, we're currently underneath that 3%, which is only $1 and some change. Gives a possible upside here of OARC of 28 cents. PayPay. No PayPay. Snowy is our next one. All right, so PayPay, looks like they closed at 64.28 today. We have two short calls that expire tomorrow. One is 64, so we're over that one, 28 cents. And the other one is 65. So probably not going to be any real upside here for this one, besides maybe a cent or two for the short calls, of course. The synthetic could bring this up even more. All right, Snowy. Looks like they closed out the synthetic with a 140 strike price. It was going to expire next week. And that cost over $2.5 million. And then the new synthetic will expire in a couple of months with a 120 strike price. Looks like it cost about $400,000 to do that. If we look here, we still have you see our new synthetics. We still have our short calls, the 126 and 127 strike price. And these will expire tomorrow. Still gives us a possible upside for the short calls of about 74 or 75 cents. You can see today we did come up about $6.50. And the stock price came up around 90 cents. Squee. No trades. Tesla would be next. So Squee here. We still have our short calls that expire tomorrow. 61, 62, and 63. Block actually closed at 61.21. So we're over the 61 by 21 cents. And then the 62 cents, obviously we're underneath that 79 cents. And then which is 1%. Then we're underneath the 63 by 3%. Possible upside here of about 25 or so cents for the short calls. Of course, the synthetic, it'll probably come up some, but right now we're 13% underneath that strike price, and let's bring the stock price down $2.48. All right, Tesla. They closed out. Sorry, I was looking at the fiat down there. Okay, anyway. Tesla, they had 4 short calls there. 212.50, 220, 232.50, and a 220. They close those out today. The 212.50, because it was closer to the stock price, cost 11 cents to close out. The other ones cost 3 cents, with the exception of 560 contracts, which was only 1 cent. Looks like they did use all of those there, looking at the contracts at the bottom. And then they put the majority of them, almost all of them, at the 207.50 strike price. And then the other 1,300 are at the 210 strike price. They brought in quite a bit of money for that. Like almost $12 million. Of course, it's not necessarily quite a bit of money for Tesla. It would be, all of them have their own size there. Ooh, but this one sucks because the synthetic both of the synthetics expire next week. They did them in the 260 and 265 strike prices, and we're currently underneath those 24 and 25%. So right now, the synthetic positions are bringing this stock down over $4 a share. And then we have the short calls here that won't expire till next week. We're underneath those strike prices 4 and 5%, the 207.50 and the 210. We have a possible upside here of about 52 cents for Tesla. Zomo, we have two short calls expired tomorrow, 119, 120. We're underneath those 1 and 2%, just underneath it like $1 or $2 there. Possible upside of about 29 cents for Zomo. And then we have the short ETFs, which I've been calling them short ETFs. And anyway, I noticed that on the last holdings, and I don't know if, not holdings, but the dividend announcement, I don't know if they had that on there before or not, but it said from here on forward they'll be referring to those as the short ETFs on the distribution announcement. But anyway, we have YBIT here. Nope, I have them out of order. YBIT should have been below Fiat. So Fiat here, it shows they added 274 contracts. 274. Let's look at this. What did they have before? So now, let's go back a couple of days. I guess I don't need to for this one. Sorry, I used my finger instead of the pencil on here. Yeah, they only had 127 before. That's a big move. We tripled. Which is crazy because they went from 178.91 to 192.32. But people are cussing on that one. But anyway, so that's the only trade here that we have for the shorts. Just make sure over here that I didn't miss them. Oh yeah, and the dips, trying to fix that. And then they didn't. Which then reminds me, let me check my email real quick. I did send an email earlier. Hold on. All right. Yeah, I didn't expect to have an email. I just thought I would check here. But I know that I've said it in the past that I try not to bother them too much. And I usually don't point out when things are wrong. But these have been wrong for too long. And you can see that dips, it took them several tries, but they got that fixed now. But they've never touched the crash or Fiat. So I did just send them an email about these. I just don't know if it's, what's going on. If honestly, if I'd have been doing these, every day after a couple of days and them not being touched, I would have said something. But obviously, I've been really tired, so I haven't been doing videos every day. Anyway, so we'll go back up here to crash. So there were no trades here for this one. This one went down today, obviously, because Tesla went up today. But anyway, of the two short puts, I'll expire tomorrow at the 192.50 and the 195 strike price. And we're currently above those 2 and 3%. And then if we go to the dips here, you can see that's all cleared up now. We have the 2 short puts with the 94 and 95 strike prices. We are above those 10 and 12%. And then here for the fiat, this one we still have an issue with for the long calls. But we have our short puts here. So we have the 190 and 192.50 that expire tomorrow. We are below the 192.50. It's just by a few cents. But we are below it. And then we have the one for next week here, our new one. That expires next Friday with the 175 strike price. And we are currently above that 10%. All right, so let's move on to YBet. YBet synthetic and short calls, they both expire next week. Our short calls, $20.50 strike price. We're underneath that 5% by $1.10. Possible upside here for YBet of about 75 cents for the short call there. Of course, the synthetic with a $28 strike price, we're underneath that 31%, brings the stock down $6.39 there. But with that said, we did have trades. I'm sorry, I forgot. We had these where they closed out the $21 and $21.50, and they closed those out for 1 and 2 cents there. So that's pretty much it. I want to look at this, but I didn't get to do the file because things are messed up. So, yeah, that's really jacked up. I was just looking to see if there was any other kind of counts off. But no, I don't see any. All right, well, I don't think I did videos yesterday. Apologize. I tried to wait up on the trades, and then I barely even got them saved, and then I went to sleep. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. We'll see how the market goes tomorrow. Y'all have a great weekend in case I don't get to talk to y'all again before then. Bye.